Alright, hello everybody, welcome to Break Arts 3. Today I wanted to go over how to build your first mech, or your first Break Arts unit. Um, for most of the game you're gonna be racing and doing race battles, and then the other half is gonna be arena battles. So for now, let's just focus on building your first mech and figuring out like the difference between energy capacity, energy generation, heat capacity, cooldown ability, driving speed. Each of these different stats mean a mean a lot. Structure is how much your HP. Shield is how much your shield is before it starts damaging your structure. Energy capacity, this is your max energy. Energy generation, this is how much energy you generate per second. So you usually want to have, I try to have it like 1/4 of the energy, but sometimes you just gotta take chances. This one's more of a weaker unit because it's just for racing. As you can see, no weapons. Heat capacity, this is how much heat you generate. Cooldown ability, it's sort of the same thing with energy and energy generation. Heat capacity and cooldown ability, these affect how fast your different thrusters and everything heat your unit up. Um, inertia suppression is, I believe, when you're coming in on turns. I believe that that I'll have to get back into. Lock on range and lock on speed. Both of these are how far you can lock onto a unit and how fast it'll take you to lock onto a unit. Driving speed. This is basically a representation of how fast you can go based off of weight and everything. So since I'm like 8 points over, my speed is barely reduced. If I were to take off a piece, you see my driving speed goes back up. So your data load is basically your overall weight and how much your legs and overall frame can hold. So the closer you get to data load limit, the best. But the more you go over the data load limit, the harder you're going to have to fight for keeping your drive speed up. Which you can find ways around it to get faster drive speed and change things up. And if you'll notice here, I have a lot of boosters. And you would think that having all of them at once would would hurt my unit. But what I can do, I have action A, which uses only 4 of my detonators, which will go over the difference between them, but action B uses those thrusters, and accelerator uses the other thrusters. So install, this is where you'll install all of your parts. We'll get to that in the next section. Setup is where you'll be able to set up different modules and stuff. So if you click on this detonator, you can see it has different options. You can choose where it activates, and you can choose multiple actions. You can have it and or you could have it when it's off. You could have continuous movement. You could change you can display trails or not. I usually have them off because it saves on frame generation. Setup will come in handy. That's how I have mine separated for different parts. I can show in game. Now, by no means am I a master mech builder or anything in this game, but Break Arts has been one of my favorite games for a while. So, as you can see, just with regular thrusters, we're going fast. Now if I activate A, we get our upward thrust. because I had the A as just sort of like a boost upward. I was messing around with it to test for takeoff and flight ability. This is before I got articulated joints. So if I hit B, now we activate our secondary thrusters. This mech's also made for flying. At least for some of the racing courses. In the training course, you got bots. These two don't attack you, the other two on the other side will. But you basically want a good mix of energy generation, heat cooldown, and you want a good mix of your engines and your thrusters to be able to have full control over your mech. We'll go over all of that, just giving a good little demonstration. This one's a really fun one, but I'm still in like early game of building mechs. Oh, whoops. My other mech, this is my very first one that I built. It has boost up to, this is the first one for boosting up. But that's about it. It also has a weapon. It doesn't have any emitters on it because the weapon already does enough draw power, but I could definitely add some. So this one, the difference is it's got good turning, but it really only has high boost capable. So once it slows down, and it's hard to take corners. Catching up is no problem, especially depending on how you build and design. Depending on how they're angled and everything, you can get some really, really wild mech designs going. I can fly with this one. It's just more of like, I'm not really flying as I am thrusting through the air at like such ridiculous speeds. But it goes to show you can be very creative with how you want to engage with the system. You want to have everything on your feet, totally can. If you want to have it on your back, you can have that. You can even make like the thrusters and everything look very nice, depending on how you set up the armor with it. And Ellie stops on a dime too, so not bad. Sorry, sometimes I just have fun moving. But as you can see, we got like a really good looking design. There's also transformations. So if you wanted using action C, this one will transform. And by transform, it definitely does take on a different playstyle. So you can have, let's see. So for takeoff, we hit 3. And then there we go. And then we hit 3 and transform. And now we're flying. You thought the other mechs flew good before. Oh boy. No, the default mech that they give you for practice flying and getting used to it, oh my gosh, does it give you so many ideas for like the boost thrusters on the legs, the back thruster, like the ability of how it hovers too is like peak. Yeah, that's an example of transforming. And you can get really creative with it. Like, I'm trying to get better with the designing of it. But for example, if we go to... As you can see, I'm currently working on my first transforming mech. So getting everything set up and how to transform and stuff. Like, you can get some really, really cool and wild combinations. There's people that have made Megazords and mechs and a bunch of other cool things. I'm currently going with sort of a Gundam Wing aspect in a bit of a sense, but I gotta work on how things are gonna be. But all in all, we'll start fresh. We'll start with a brand new one, so let's delete all. This is your usual mech frame starting point. You're going to have a torso and you're going to have your base bottom. Anybody that's played most of these games or played it for a little bit will understand that that's usually where you're going to start off if you're going to be building your own. If you're curious on how to get more parts, you would go to Mech Management and acquire mechs. And here you can see that it'll say frames, modules, slots, and plugins. This is where you'll buy the mech and then you'll get more plugins and modules that you'll be able to mess with and use. RR stands for Rose Racer, a derivative unit designed specifically for racing regulations. Its weight has been reduced to the absolute minimum, accepting every drawback that can be compensated for thorough piloting skills. Diabolically hard to control, but capable of delivering devilish speeds in the right hands. So this is the one that we have already. This is the variant of it, but it doesn't give us anything new. We want to look for things that are new, so this is new stuff. But we'll go to Machine Designer, You don't have to worry about plugins and stuff right off the bat. You'll get those with playing through the game. Where I usually like to start with the mech is getting out like heat management system, energy system, and armors out of the way. Although sometimes you can hide armors on the weapons and other joints and reduce their cost. So by that, what I mean is like let's take an expensive energy system, for example. Data load 140. So this has a 140 data load. And you can see it affect the load when it's up here. So that's 140. But if I bring it over to this smaller circle, you'll see that it halves it. It goes from 140 data load to 70. And it also halves the energy generation. Now, you can use this to your advantage in a couple different ways because it by making it smaller, yeah, you're basically halving the cost of it and you're halving the effect of it, but sometimes you can get some really good benefits for where it is and depending on how you use it. So, that's a way to reduce cost on certain parts, but just take into account that reducing the cost on it also reduces the effectiveness of it. So another example of it is you're gonna have all these different joints that you're gonna acquire through getting different mechs. Some joints end up making parts bigger or smaller depending on where they're placed. So a good example is the tri joint. You put the tri joint on that joint. Well, now you just made the joints extremely, extremely small. So now you got 3 joints to play with right there. So if you go to energy system and you take one of the ones that we had before, oh, never mind. They're too small to interact with now. I take back what I said. That turned into a decorative piece. A decorative piece. There we go. There's the ones. Okay, you can't cheese it on other stuff. So that's good to know. But yeah, so one of the ones that costs. Why can't I see the cost anymore? There we go. It's not extremely useful, but just if you like are playing with scale and size of things and you want certain things to scale down, like oh I want this to be smaller, or I want this to be bigger, you can do it that way. So first things first, focus on your energy system, figure out where you want to put like your backpack and stuff, how you want certain things. So this will give me 900. This will give me 450 if I slap it there. Let's see. Actually, that's horrible. Sorry. So find your energy managements, put them on. Let's see. Our structure is at 8,000 energy capacity. Let's see, shield structure, data load. Well, these are energy consumption. So you want a good blend of a good mix of heat management and cooldown ability. You want energy systems. I'd recommend like almost 800, maybe 600 towards just the energy and heat management systems alone. And then the rest can be towards like armor, thrusters, joints cost nothing. Ornaments are just your head pieces and your weapon pieces. Subassembly is any pieces that you crafted before you can put on. So our data load, cooldown ability, our driving speed, inertia suppression, energy generation, energy consumption. Let's see. Okay, we got heat capacity and cooldown. Ornaments. We can throw on a head. We can go ahead and throw arms on. Okay, so some building tips. If you want to copy anything, you just grab the joint that's the first one connected that has everything else, and you would just hit V to mirror. So just hover over it and then hit V, and then bam. You can just instantly mirror it and make extras. Let's see. So heat and energy, your energy capacity and your energy generation, these two tie in together based off of your energy system. Heat capacity and cooldown ability, that's off of your heat Management. So these two are going to be two of your most important ones. The next most important one is going to be your armor. Your armor is going to dictate how much damage you can take in total, and you want to take into account the data load cost of it, how much structure it gives you, and also if it gives you any shield or how much shield it provides. So getting the most bang for your buck is usually where you want to go and how you want to do it. So let's see, 50 for 1,000, 60 for 1,200. Cooldown ability, structure 600. Do that so we have those extra thruster spots and we're getting shields. One thing to take into account is the structures that you're building. So these ones, they give me cooldown ability, they give me structure, and they give me data load. And they also have a spot to where I can put a joint on it. So let's keep let's see. This one gives us shield. Okay, so now we have 900 shield, we have structure. We're almost to our limit, so I mean, we can go over. It's just starting to get into weapons and everything. We'll lose points. So, like, for example, this is like the base weapon that you'll probably first get slash build. And it's just a very simple thing with a cartridge, emitter to charge up the barrel. The barrel's where the gun damage comes through. These are both just range objects, so for lock on and everything. But just adding that, that's 200 right there. So now if we have like 300 more of armor and stuff to work with, we just have to be sort of smart about it. We could technically lose some of the data load stuff that we have on here because our energy capacity is really, really good and we're not really running into too much. But okay, so that's that, focusing on structure, shield. This is your health. This is how much you can take before your health starts getting taken and before you die. Cooldown ability and heat capacity. This is how much heat you'll generate, and this is how fast it'll cool down per second. Thrusters. You have 3 different types of thrusters. You have accelerators, which are your basic when you're hitting acceleration. And if you can take into account, you see how these are just pointing upwards. So you just go here. I usually tilt down about 30%. Okay, so basic thrusters. These are going to be your just basic thrusters. How fast you're gonna go, is gonna be determined on these accelerators, and you have a different wide variety of accelerators that look different and act different. And then you have detonators. Detonators are different to where they're a single time instant boost, and they can be really good for maneuvering, picking up speed, uh, getting sort of back into the fray, as some would say. Okay, so we got boosters, we got detonators, we got thrusters, and then we have turning thrusters. These ones only really take into play when you're turning, but they can come in handy for so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turning thrusters, 4 detonators. We got 2 thrusters. You can throw on like let's throw on an articulate joint, and we'll have its starting value there. Condition, acceleration. $75. Then install thruster. We'll throw on those 2 thrusters right there. Condition. Stall thrust. Sorry, I forgot. I just need to talk. I'm setting up articulated joints right here, and I'll show what it looks like afterwards. So let me just get rid of that so I have an easier view. Setup, install, thrusters. There we go. Okay, so now all I do is do this. I hit V. Copy there. Boom shakalaka. Okay. Let's see. Every time you add thrusters on and whatnot, you have to take into account how much your energy and heat cooldown is all getting taken into account of. And right now, we have 1, 2, 2, so that's 4, 6. We have 6 thrusters on our upper end. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 detonators. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 turning. So if we go in right now and we test it out. You see how we have like, how we just drift? Like even if we're turning, we just keep carrying. That's where that inertia comes in at. And you also see how our back's like that. So we'll just go to designer. And we'll go to install joints. I'll take 2 of these rotating ones. Okay, setup, motion, condition, accelerate. Let's see, we want about 20. See, and just a simple little thing can clean it up. Right now we're already going around 300. That's really good. So, let's say, oh no, we're having a problem with turning. We're not being able to actually... See how we're not able to take that turn? So let's install physics. Physics parts are parts that will help us control our inertia. and keep us stable. Let's give him a crotch spoiler. That seems like a smart idea. Give you a back spoiler. I have the jellyfish. Let's see. So we got 4 on now. I think. 2 right there. Then we got 2 right there. Too funny with the crotch spoiler. You know what? There we go. That looks a bit more presenting. All right. I would say 6. 6 physical ones are good to go with for starting. You just have to figure out like what's worth it to you. I usually hide a couple jellyfish down here on the feet. Makes it look like my guy got Heelys on. Okay, but if we go back and test play. We should be able to take turns now. So with 6 inertia suppressions is usually like a good stopping point. You could do 5. I found my sweet spot is like right around 6. Right now we have 8 on, I believe. We have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have 8 inertia suppressions on right now. So we got some really high inertia suppression, which helps. So I guess 8's not a bad spot. Anything past that, I think you're getting returning value, and anything below 6, I think you're gonna have like a hard time noticing anything beneficial. So we went over building our thrusters, building our mech. We still have about 200 load that we can put on before we start losing our driving speed. Let's see. Weapons. I guess I can talk about weapons here. So setup, if you go to setup, you can check out the emitter and see what type of gun it's gonna be. So this one's grenade, low firing rate, no additional effects. Amplifier, if you target, boom. Now that's amplifying that. Emitters amplify the damage, but it also amplifies how much it costs. So for now, I guess what we can do is just add on a few more thrusters. Maybe a couple detonators. And you see how now we're over the data load limit? We're over by 70, so it took us down by 7% or 3%. So really just got to be careful about how you manage everything. And with how much things cost. Thrusters. Alright, let's give it... Oh my goodness. Okay, so you see how we have that active and we're just going a little bit too fast? Well, let's say we want to set it up to where we have these on a separate control. So what we'll do is we'll go here, instead of use accelerator, we'll set it to action A. We're going to go through all of these. We're going to set all of these up to only react to action A. No. Okay. Glad it has an undo function. That was almost bad. Now, we go into test. Oh, wait. Okay, so now I have it set up to where action A will activate those thrusters. So we have that. Then when we want to go super fast, we have that. A regular speed. Alright, so now we ran into our first problem. Energy consumption. Consuming too much energy. See how just our base stuff is consuming 0.1 energy? And then if we activate that, we're consuming roughly 1 energy a second. So how do we fix that? How's the only way to fix that? You either remove thrusters or you compromise by adding more energy systems. Those are like the only two ways of getting around this problem. Alright, I need 2 small spots. Well, you know what? We need 2 small spots. Remember that thing I was talking about earlier? So let's make... There we go. Let's make 2 small spots right there. And then energy system. Do you need all this thrusting power? No. Is it really fun to have it? Yes. Alright, now let's say you're running into a problem. Oh no, I'm not able to clear those big gaps. Okay. Well, then what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. Take one of these joints. We're going to take this off. We're going to put this joint here. We're going to put this back on that joint. And then we're going to have motion set up. Action B. There we go. Okay, so setup. Let's see, condition. Okay, so we just set up these ones to where whenever we hit action B, they should go downwards. There we go. Gotta remember set or. Why are those activating? What the fuck? Okay. So interesting. I love the backpack design that we came up with. And it can still do combat, so that's good. Okay, well, this video's been almost an hour for building a mech and everything. Let's see how it comes into fruition. So let's go to play games, break arts, Grand Prix. Let's go do this one. This one seems like a good racing one. I'm using way more energy than I should be. What might work in the practice range doesn't always work in practicality. But yeah, BreakArts 3 has so much customization that you can do. Okay, looks like we're in a battle, so I'm going to hit B and alternate my dash. Darn. Yeah, I did not set this one up for battle. This one's more for racing. I mean, its radar is super weak too, so getting any battles is gonna be rare. Yo, who stole my kill? Oh, we came in second. Not bad. Machine management, acquire machines, let's see. Ooh. That's looking new. Despite its appearance, its grenades are actually fired from its arms. Ooh, wow. Frames +1, modules +8. That's gonna cost 24,000. I want it. Want it. Okay, but yeah, so this is basically, you know, building your first mech, building your first BreakArts unit. There's so much that we could get into. We could get into about, like, you know, how setup can change wildly, how your parts interact with each other, how you set up the angles of certain parts changes the thrusting capability of where they are and how it'll keep you afloat. Over like data load, structure, shield, energy capacity, energy generation. Just so you know, 1100 structure and shield is super, super low. A lot of people are way more tankier. These are like glass cannon builds for like super fast movement. Cooldown ability, driving speed is like how much you can reach your top end. Inertia suppression, that's your turning capability. Lock on range is how far you can lock on. But yeah, all in all, hopefully this video helps. I know it's a little bit scuffed, but my editing is not up to where I would like it to be at the moment, and the time that I would like to dedicate to editing, I don't have currently. But we got some really cool stuff that we're going to be able to mess with and do. Just from the little that we were able to do here with just those little movements gives like our back so much more life than it all just being together. So the moment we're holding A, we get our whole back piece powered on and turned on. When we hit B, we turn from thrusting backwards to thrusting downwards, and that turns into us being able to actually fly. Hitting B again to turn it off. Well, yeah, all in all, Break Arts 3, super fun mech game. One that's slept on by a lot of the community, not because it's not good, but because it's so niche, nobody really knows about it or talks about it. So hopefully this video finds you and gets you interested in trying and building your own mech. I'll save you here. Then we'll load you here. Go to test play. But yeah, like there's so much that you can do, so much that you can change. Like, you see how that one feels so much more alive than this one, just because of its back. Not that this one doesn't look bad, or look good or anything. I love the back design, what little dresses I gave it, and legs. But every single time that you build a mech and test and build and test, the better mechs that you're going to be able to make, the more creative mechs that you're going to be able to make. I really want to see the community make some really creative maps, or mechs. And I'm hoping that eventually, you know, maybe we can build a community and get people all playing and building different mechs, and then we can, like, you know, see where we go from there. There's so much potential that this game has. But yeah, this has been a little tutorial guide on Break Arts 3, breaking down the differences between your setup, your install, your frame plugins, and how to build your first Break Arts unit. I'm not doing weapons at the moment because I still have a bunch of weapon parts I need to unlock. I still have a bunch of frame parts I need to unlock and stuff. It's just I haven't seen anybody do a video on explaining like your first build of a mech. But yeah, remember armor is your HP and shield. Heat management is your cooldown for you using your abilities, your thrusters, your weapons. Energy system is what your energy capacity is for how much energy you have to use for your weapons, boosters, other systems. Your radars is how far your lock-on capability and detecting units on your little mini-map is. Thrusters is your base thrusters, the ones that make you go fast, your accelerators, your detonators, which give you a burst of power, and your turning thrusters that activate when you're turning to help with inertia and turning. Yeah, physics, which is where this will be your inertia suppression. So when you're wanting to stop, you'll stop. If you have it at 100, you'll stop on a dime. weapons, these are where you'll build your weapons and create your different types. You can create swords, you can create guns, you can create like rail cannons, all the way to homing shots. Joints is your lifeblood of the mech, where you're going to be spending 90% of your time messing with units and messing with different pieces. These bottom three down here, which come from, this comes from Rose, this comes from Gladius, and I think this comes from either Gladius or Rose, one of those two. But these three joints, the articulation and being able to rotate parts and bring them actually alive when you're hitting different pieces, just gives you a whole new feeling to your mech. And if there's any pieces that you really like and you're like, hey, I want to save this for later, you just grab that piece and you'll hit so you'll just grab this piece and then you would hit G, and then you can register it as your secondary assembly, and then whenever you want to go and get it, like, oh no, I lost it, boom, sub-assembly, and then you just grab the piece that you need and bam. And if you want to like copy a piece, like let's say I want to mirror this one over there, I just hover over it and then I just hit V and I just mirror it and then I just put it over there and bam, we're all done. Like easy peasy, it's all fixed, nice and easy. There's so much like customization that you can do and capabilities. Like the way all the pieces look together once they're like set up is peak mech design. Like the back I think looks way better than the front, but that's because I spent 90% of the time on the back and setting everything up trying to get it to where it looks good. Like right now, our like this one I really like. It really inspired me for like how certain pieces are, but this is like your earliest mech that you're going to be able to build. These are like all the earliest pieces that you're actually going to be able to mess with and whatnot. So definitely have fun with it. These legs have a lot more data capacity, so you can get away with a lot more. The other ones are good for like flight and stuff, but this one, all the knowledge that I've gained from just the few hours I've played and being able to actually get these like pieces and just not have like the worry of messing with it and being like, oh, I'm gonna mess it up. It's just more of just like messing with it and seeing what we can come up with. Look at that. Like, look at how cool that is. Off, on. Like, our backpack comes to life. It opens up. It breathes. Same with our thrusters, our detonators right there. They turn either into us flying or us going faster. But yeah. Got a lot more that I want to talk about. I'll probably make a better, more condensed video on it, but this is like my first attempt at doing a explanation on how to build your first breakguard suit, how to understand how heating and everything else works. But you can have the freedom to create basically whatever you want. So yeah, don't be afraid to experiment. I'd love to see what you come up with and what y'all are making in the break arts community. Like, I need to make a Discord or something for it, because that would be nice. Let's get a photo of our new mech that we built today. That's cool. Just getting some good angles of it coming to life. So that's without action A. And then when we use action A. So cool, right? And it's just simple. Just some hinge joints, articulation at hinge joints, and some little moving caps. Actually, you know, I could even make it a little bit further by having more joints right there, so those ones curve in a little bit more. So if I do that, okay, set up. Beautiful. Alright, but yeah. This has been BreakArts 3, short-ish tutorial on how to build your first BreakArts and breaking down all the different installs and how to go about building your unit and what kind of mentality that you want to have. Mainly, your data load, this is your limit to once you start going past this, your driving speed's going to greatly start taking impacts. Your structure is your HP, your shield is how much shield you have before it starts taking out your actual unit's HP. There's a cooldown on it that is not shown here. Energy capacity, this is how much energy you have for your thrusters, your weapons, and any other special things that you decide to build or use. This is where your energy reserve will be taken from. Energy generation is how much energy you generate per second. That you'll have to take into account if it's enough depending on how much energy you're using. We saw during the race that we were just using just a bit too much energy, even if we were having our secondary thrusters turned off. So that's one thing. Heat capacity, this is how much heat you'll generate by using all of your units. This doesn't take into account the weapons heat generation when it's fired. So you're gonna have to take that into account separately. You can make the most powerful weapon and you fire it once, and then boom, your heat's automatically maxed out, and it won't show it here. Cooldown capability or cooldown ability. This is how fast your mech recovers from your heat capacity. So how much heat you generate, this is how fast you'll cool down. Driving speed, this is like an example of how fast you can go. This saying 100%, meaning all of these, all the accelerators I have are uninhibited by my data load, meaning I'm going at 100% speed for all of these when these are all active. Inertia suppression is how fast our stopping point is. So when we're going, and if we have 0 inertia, we're just going to be sliding like we're on ice. But if we have 100 inertia suppression, we're going to be stopping on a dime the moment we let go of W or any of our thrusters. So you got to be careful of it. Around 60 is a good spot because having a little bit of drift play is nice, especially if you can get used to it. You can really use it to your like momentum advantage. Lock-on range, around 200 lock-on isn't terrible, but I've seen even people get away with like lower ones if you're going for a melee build, but then you need lock-on speed to be as fast as it can be. You want to be locking onto those guys in like 0.25 seconds if you're going to be doing anything close to like 150 lock-on range. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know. I'm not in any discords for this game. I really need to be so I can talk with other people and get like community opinions and standards on stuff. I'm a newbie to Break Arts 3. I've loved the Break Arts series. I played Break Arts 2. I played a bit of Break Arts 1 back when it was on PlayStation. I played the original mobile game back when it first released on iOS and thought it was jank but fun, like super fun jank. Now, this is jank, but like the jank is meant to be like there's involvement with it. Like if you feel like your mech is controlling terribly, it's probably because your inertia suppression isn't up to par, or your driving speed is getting capped or hurt because of your data load. If you feel like you're not going fast enough, if you feel like things are clunky or like you're burning up and heating up too much, maybe it's your gun, maybe it's your emitter, maybe you have some thrusters or something that are just taking up too much data charge on your whole unit. So you have to figure out, okay, what can I sacrifice? What can I change? What things do I need and what things don't I need? Because right now, we could take off like a few of these. We could take off a few of these. We could take off a few thrusters and stuff. Like, we don't need all these thrusters. We just have them just to either look cool or to go faster. And there is a limit to how fast you can go versus how much control you have. The more you start reaching 500, 600 kilometers an hour, the harder and harder it gets to be able to slow down, stop, and go around corners to be able to control. Even in the air, it gets really, really hard if you don't have the right inertia or the right setup for the way that your jets are. Because if these aren't spread out properly, or like your boosters aren't set up properly, you're just gonna sink. You're not gonna go anywhere. You're just gonna go like a bullet straight down, even if you're able to go up. But yeah, no, there's so much that we could get into for this game. There's so much I do want to get into, and I'll do like a live stream here on one of these days to where we're finishing out the rest of this game. But for now, Break Arts 3, it's an absolute gem on Steam for $20. If you can find it on sale, grab it. But for now, it's great. The community is, from what I can tell, super, super chill, super cool. I would recommend just hanging out. Drop a comment below if you want more videos like this. If you want me to do a better in-depth video or a more edited version of this, I totally can. I just need to know that, people are interested in for it. So, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Later. Woohoo! Our weapon's doing pitiful damage. That's for next time. We'll go over weapons next time. Later.